Hello guys, welcome back to SandVFX. Welcome to another exciting RayFire tutorial on SandVFX. So this is what we were looking after today. Ground collapsing scene using RayFire. So the pieces are falling down and we can see there is a hole below the ground. I've got another example a little bit different. Okay, you can see it around here. So you can also see that there is a kind of like hole or craters thing, and particles are bouncing against that. Okay, since this is a terrace, we won't have anything like that, but we'll have a hole or a room below it. So I created another one with, like this, having a bigger hole like this one. Okay, so we'll get into 3ds Max and start doing that. So first of all, let me load up my background, the footage that we want. I'm just using a simple image, so I don't need to track or do anything. Okay, files. Okay, here is my image. Okay, let me press Alt W to go to full screen for our perspective. And now the next thing is I need to match up my grid with the perspective. Okay, you can see now it's matched up. Okay, you can use this line as a reference to match it, and you don't need to do it too perfect. It will be fine, just a little bit. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is create a box. Just create a box on the surface where you want your fragments to happen, or where you want your ground to collapse. Okay, and let me go to modify panel and set my height to maybe -4. Okay, I don't want my box to get up of my surface, and remember your surface will be this grid line. Okay, again I messed up with this one. Okay, let me just create a camera, Control C to create a camera from this view, so that we have the camera right here. We are looking through a camera, and I can go back to perspective mode. I can move anywhere I like, and then I can get back to my camera view again by pressing the C key on the keyboard, or you can also change it from here, camera or perspective. Okay, once that I have created my box, the next thing I'm gonna do is, let me first get rid of this image right now for the time being. Okay, because I have already set up my camera, so I won't be needing it for a while. Okay, now that I've created my box, I need to texture this box at the beginning. If we fragment it before texturing it, then we'll have lots of pieces and it'll be really troublesome for texturing. And also this scene is a pretty simple scene. Let us see the file right here. Okay, this is the file what we are using, and you can see the floor is pretty much gray color. It's just something texture like here, but we will be covering all those parts with our fragments, so we won't need to do that hard texturing job. I have just this plain simple concrete image right here. I'll be using that simply, and let me press M key to open up my material editor, and on the diffuse channel, bitmap, let me browse to files and this concrete texture. Okay, and let me simply apply it to this object, and also show shaded material in viewport. Now you can easily see simple material, no need to do too much work on texturing. It won't be too noticeable. Okay, now next thing we gotta do is create a multi-sub object material, multi-sub object, so that we need to apply another little bit different color into our fragment pieces later on. So first of all, let me convert this to editable poly and select my top face, go down here, and ID that's 2, it's fine, and let me select all the other faces and set their color or set their ID. Let me not select the bottom one, okay, only the side one, and let me set their ID to 4, so all of them will have ID 4, and the bottom one it will be 2. That'll be fine. Okay, so we have the top and the bottom one with selection ID 2, and the side one with selection ID 4, or you can also set them to 3 or anything you wish for. Okay, so we'll drag this our material. Let us rename this one texture, and let me drag this material to my selection ID 2 right here, instance. Okay, get rid of this polygon again. Then for the selection ID 4, you can just use simple gray material. That won't make any difference. Okay, and for the selection ID 1, let me go to standard and create a little darker color, darker gray. Okay, if you have something other, like if you are making it for a ground and you have got mud or something like that, you may need to texture it as well, but in our case it's really easy. We don't need to do that much of work. Okay, now I'm just applying this material to my object. Okay, now let me again load up my background. Use file again. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to load because it has been previously loaded, so just press OK. Okay, now we have got this. Let me go to camera view. Okay, press Alt W to go to all 4 views, and on the front view I want to go to perspective view so that I can look at the perspective, work on the perspective while looking at this camera view as well. So let me zoom up here, and I'm gonna do is go to rendering environment, and let me just set up my environment map for this terrace only, just for the temporary timing, just to check how it's going on. Let me just render my scene. You can see that we just have this box sitting at the top, nothing like it has been integrated into the scene. So first of all, let us do that. Let us create a simple skylight. Okay, create, and I'm not going to cast shadows, turn on this cast shadows right now because that's going to slow my render, or we can also do that and reduce the ray sample to maybe 5. And if I render again, now you can see that it has been a little bit bright, but still we can see this depth of our box over here. So what we need to do is we need to cover it and make that all these parts we have got a plane and it is kind of like underneath this ground. So for that, what we need to do is we'll create another plane. Let's go another plane right here. Okay, something like that, and it must be right top of our box. It will be because we have our box right on the grid line, below the grid line, so our plane will be right on the grid line. Now what I'm gonna do is convert it to editable poly and just cut the hole right into this box area. Okay. Okay, you can also zoom in right here and try to match it up a little more perfectly. Okay, for this one as well. Let's see. Okay, it's quite good. Okay, and now for down part as well. Around here. Okay, and for this part as well. Okay, now I'm gonna go to face and delete all these faces. Okay, now let me go get back to my camera view and let me render my scene. Now as you've noticed, you'll see this green plane right here and our box in the middle. So you are not seeing any depth right now. So if by any chance we could just make this green plane cover this depth but not render that only. So that's what we're gonna do right now. We won't be rendering this green object, green plane, but it will still hide our depth of this box so that it will be seen as if it has been integrated into our scene. So how are we gonna do that is, let's go to the material editor and load up a material called matte shadow. So what will this do is it will only render shadows in this in any of the object where it has been applied. So let me press F3 to turn on my shaded mode, and let me apply this to my this plane. Okay, and if I go ahead and do a render right now, Now you can see that we don't have any depth of our object right here, and also we are not seeing any green plane as well. So we are correct, we are doing everything perfectly. Okay, so still you can see that the texture is not matching with our ground, but that's gonna be fine. We'll fix that while compositing in After Effects. Okay, so we are done with covering our depth and everything like that. Now the next thing is gonna be, we're going to fragment our box. Okay, let's go down to RayFire. Open RayFire floater, go to objects, add in my box. Okay, I can also hide this plane for a while, just hide selection, so that it will be easy for me. And let me go to physics. What I need to, oh sorry, I need to go to fragments. Let me make about 500 pieces, and if you want you can go more, maybe about 600, but it will slow down my computer, so I'm not going for too much of fragments. The 500 will do it for the demonstration. Just fragment it. Okay, now we have got quite a good size of 500 pieces of fragments. Okay, the next thing, let me clear this for a while. I'll add some of the objects later on, and let's go to camera view and see what we have rendered before. Since we have these edges looking like it is not in the scene, it's not matching up with our floor texture, so what are we gonna do is we are going to select all the edges fragments and exclude them from being shattered or from being collapsed. Also, why I'll explain it in a little bit later. Just first of all, let me do what is, let me select all the edges fragments like this. Okay, and for this one as well. Okay. Okay. Okay, once that I've selected my all these fragments, let me go to perspective for easy viewing. Okay. Okay, and also let me press the J key to turn off these selection brackets. They are bothering me. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is, I guess I need to select a little more from here as well. Okay, and I have selected this camera tip. Let me deselect that. Okay, and let me go ahead and group them, and I'm gonna name it static so that they are not gonna be part of my simulation. Also, why I did that is because if you make all these pieces falling down, then we'll have this sharp edge like collapsing. Let us see in our scene right here. Oops, sorry. Okay, here you can see that we have got these pieces as if they are falling. If we make all the pieces fall down, then we'll not have this kind of edge right here. We'll just have flat rectangles, so that's not gonna look good. So now if we make all these pieces fall down, like let's say if we pick this up right here, so you can see that we'll get this sort of result. So I hope you got what I'm trying to explain. The next thing is going to be, let me create a wind in order to activate my geometries. Okay, and let me go ahead and set it spherical and range indicators. Let me see if my size is good. That's quite a good size. Let me reduce it a little bit. Okay, and pull it back for now. This side. Okay, now let me go to RayFire again. Get back to RayFire, RayFire floater, and let me add in my wind to my simulation property right here, and all the objects except my static fragments, static which I grouped a little bit while ago. So let me select all of them, deselect my wind and the static group. So now you can see that we have only the fragments which are not grouped are selected, and add them to my dynamic list. Okay, now the next thing is gonna be is we're gonna animate this wind so that it will feel like our floor is collapsing from this point to this point right here. So let's set my timeline first of all to 150. Maybe I won't be needing that much, but still, let me auto key, set key, and let me first of all go to about 80 frames, around 80 frames, and let me pull this all the way up to here. Okay, now let me go to about 10 frames, no, maybe 15 frames or 20 frames, and pull this right this way, and also go to 30 frames, just to make it kind of like zigzag so that it will not be like a straight one, and it will look a little more better. Okay, just a simple zigzagging, nothing too fancy here. So okay, from right here also here. Okay, now I think I need to increase my wind size a little bit more. Okay, around right here. Oops, sorry, I need to turn off auto key before doing that. Okay, that seems good. A little bit more again, maybe 23 will be good. Okay, now let's go to our RayFire floor again, and let's see some of the settings. Let me deactivate my static dynamic object, otherwise as we start our simulation our object will start to fall. I'll show you what I mean. Let me do a preview without turning that option on. Now you can see that the pieces are starting to fall before the wind hits it, and all the pieces are falling at once, so we don't want that. So we're going to deactivate our dynamic objects, and we're gonna activate it by force. That's our wind. Okay, and if you have anything else, no, I don't think we have anything. Okay, now we can just go ahead and do a quick preview. Okay, it's looking pretty good. It's working correctly, but I think the pieces are falling down really too fast. So let me just cancel it, and let me go ahead and reduce my wind strength to maybe 0.1. I just need to activate my object. I don't need any strength on my wind, so let it that be, and let me go ahead and bake my simulation. Okay, if you need to adjust anything, you can just do that, but I think it's pretty good for now. So let me just bake my simulation. Okay, we won't be needing any 150 frames. 100 frames is enough for us. Okay, so now that we have baked our simulation, it's looking good. Now the problem here gonna be is, let me just render my scene, and you will see that the pieces are falling down, but still we are seeing this below surface right here because we have not covered that with anything, and also our pieces are falling forever down. So if we had something like hole, it's not interacting with that hole, it's falling down from that crater or something like that as well, like the one you can see here. Okay, you can see that they are bouncing off this crater right here. So for that, what we need to do is create a crater or something like that. Since it's a terrace, we'll have something kind of like a room or something below there. So first of all, let me go down here, select all my fragment pieces. Oops, they are really below. Okay, and let me press F4 so that I'll see which objects are not selected. Okay, select all of them, go to first frame and delete all my keyframe. Okay, so that we won't have any animation or any baked animation. So next thing what we're gonna do is create a virtual room for our fragments to collapse down. So let me go ahead to standard primitives and box and create a pretty big room, something like this. Okay, I need to set my height to negative, let's say 50 will do, I guess. Let's see in the perspective view. Okay, it's too small, so let me go to negative 200. Okay, now that's good. And also I'm going to reduce the length a bit and pull it back. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and convert it to editable poly and delete this top face right here. Okay, and also add in a shell modifier. Shell, just a little bit. I don't need too much, maybe just 2. Okay, now in the RayFire I need to add this room or this to my static object, and then go ahead and bake my simulation. Okay, we are having our baking, and you can now see that the fragmented pieces are interacting with this floor or this down room walls here. Okay, let it be baked completely. Okay, we are done with our baking, and let me toggle full screen right here. Okay, now let me unhide by name and unhide that plane and earlier plane. Okay, and let me just go to my camera view and render my scene. Now if you see, okay, this part was not covered with that plane, so we are looking this yellow part right here, and you can see below here that before we were seeing this floor right here, but right now we are seeing this yellow color box that we created. So that means we can create an entire room below here, right? Place some furnitures around here, put some pictures around here, like wall pictures or anything, and it will seem like as if these pieces have fallen down into the room. So you can even create some characters falling from here, such types of effect with this, and you can just set up entire room below this. So that's what we can do. Or if you are doing with something like ground or open area somewhere around, then you may not want to create this type of big hole. You may want to create something crater like this one. So it's pretty easy. Create a simple plane, and you can just push or pull, add some segments and push or pull some vertex and create that easily. Okay, and let me just pull my plane a little bit so that I can cover all the parts. These parts here as well, and this part as well. Okay, now I'm gonna select this yellow box and give it a black material, diffuse and a black material. So if you have entire room, it'll be in the room colors, whatever it is, but I'm just gonna set it black. And if I render it now, okay, now you can see that it's actually looking like as if it is a hole. Okay, let us go back somewhere around here and let's do a preview, another preview. Okay, everything's looking pretty fine except these edges right here, so we'll fix them in compositing apps, so that once this is done, let me go to rendering environment, and let me not use this map again. So if I render, I'll have a black background like this. Okay, now I can just render my scene. Okay, from here. Okay, you can just increase the ray sample for the skylight to 10 or 20, something like that, because on 5 you'll get some noise on your image. So you can just increase that to 10 or 20, but it's really gonna take some time to render. And you can just save your file. I prefer TIFF. You can choose any of the formats except JPEG because it does not support. I mean, you can choose any format that supports alpha channel. Let's say TIFF, and set somewhere around desktop, wherever you want. Okay, and you can also go to setup, and don't forget to store alpha. Click this store alpha channel right here, 16-bit color or 8-bit also, it will be fine because we don't have lots of colors into our scene. Okay, and you can just save, just render your range or active time segment, and select SGB, whatever size you prefer, and hit render. Okay, And now let's move into After Effects. Let me load up my previously rendered sequence. I don't want to waste time again rendering that. Okay, my render sequence right here, I did render from 23 frames because before that in my previously there was nothing happening. So let me check my TIFF sequence and open and straight unmatted. Okay, now I have this TIFF sequence right here. Also I'm gonna load up my background, right, this one. Okay, and let me create a new composition. 180 by 720, about 5 seconds. I don't think I need 5 seconds also, but let that be. And I'm gonna drag in my terrace right here. Since it's an image, it's really large, so I'll just scale it down holding the shift key, so it will be of same proportion below as well. Okay, since we cannot match it up perfectly, the aspect ratio does not match for this footage and sorry for our composition and for this image. Now I'll just drag in my ground sequence. Okay, you can see it's on the floor now, and if I scroll down, it seems as if it is integrated except for these edges, so we'll fix that. First of all, let me just trim my composition just about here. Trim my composition. Okay, now let's go ahead and create a mask around our this ground sequence layer. Okay, let's go to all the way back here so that we can see which parts are not falling down. Okay, it's full. Let me set it to half. Okay, okay, now that we have cropped that, let me select my ground layer and hit MM twice, and then let me add in some feather. Also let me reduce my expansion a bit. Okay, now it's looking as if there's no any seam around here, and what we're going to do is add in a curves for a little bit of color correction, because our footage or this ground footage is a little bit too gray than our scene. So let me go ahead and add in a little bit of green to my scene, also a little bit of red, since this seems a little bit of yellowish in color. And let's go to RGB, put up a little bit. I think green's too much, just a little bit touch, nothing too much. Let's see for the blue as well. Okay, that looks good. I guess it's not too much matched. Let me reduce the red a bit. Okay. Okay, now that we can see our full floor is collapsing. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, that's what concludes our tutorials for today. The one thing I missed in this tutorial for this one is, while we're, and this is the case where we have this floor and that's just a simple gray color, so we don't have to texture our pieces upper part. But what if we are doing ground or something like that, which have some grasses and some sands or mud, different colors, then we cannot use this simple gray color. It will look really ridiculous. So in that case, we need to texture them, and I hope in next tutorial I'll show you how we can texture such types of floors or such type of grounds where we have kind of grasses and rocks or something like that. It can be done using the camera map per pixel in 3ds Max. I'll show you that in my next tutorial. Soon I'll be publishing tutorial on that one as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed a lot. Hope you guys have learned something, and sorry for any mistake I have done, and thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.